good, because they have to carry that up with them.
I remember the arrows.
Yeah, we've had some arrows.
That was in there for a long time.
Yeah.
They had a little rebar that they were tossing.
Well, I don't know. It's all right. Oh, yeah.
Nice to see you.
All right, Steve Morgan.
I was here during the construction.
Yes. I remember, what was your actual job?
I was assistant professor.
Yeah, right.
I did it.
All right, get out there in front, girl.
No.
Take charge. There's a football field.
No, every time that we were and we're housed at 2 hotels over there that we have taken over.
What about language when you're over there? That's actually very
Most of the in Greece,
graduate.
Greek
Yeah, he just don't know.
he's really made this very well. In fact, he's doing a Chekhov play now, Seagulls, and they do it outside.
We're on video.
Right, yeah, right.
This time, 2 days ago, I had a more silvery.
Yeah, I was
Okay. I got it. Come on, Effenberger.
Yeah. Not my shoes, not my shoes.
We're supposed to be in the picture. Huh? Yeah, we're come late.
You got a canning
He's really going at it. You got any extra film?
You ran out.
You can't even hear him whine. Yeah, right. This is serious business.
Well, yeah, but
Come take mine and take a picture.
I'm very pleased with it. I'm glad we even got onto this process. I think that what we've been looking to achieve, the objectives that we set up, it looks like we'll probably meet every one of them.
Well, we're here to celebrate what I think was the beginnings of a architectural breakthrough, certainly from DuPont's standpoint, a new market opportunity for its products. It was, I guess, the first Well, it was the first application of a brand new approach that utilized, among other things, some of the unique properties of our fluoropolymer material, Teflon.
What were the components and what were the companies to be involved in this first venture with a fabric covered structure?
Well, I must confess, Bill, that I wasn't here when this first started, but of course DuPont was involved with its customer Chemfab, as was Fiberglass, another supplier of raw material, the base fabric material, the fiberglass yarns, and of course Birdair, the manufacturer or constructor of the tent material itself. And of course, visiting us today are the numerous other people that were involved in one form or another, from architects down to construction and so forth.
Like old home week.
It was like a 20th reunion of a college class that hasn't seen each other for 20 years. It was a lot of fun. It was terrific to listen to the people who were there in the very beginning relate their experiences and to think back and relate the memories that they have of this project as it was going forward.
Representing DuPont, why did they think this was a good idea to celebrate this 20th anniversary?
Well, there's something magical about the first. I think there's two reasons. There is magic about the very first one that was ever done. It can't be done again. It only happens one time, and the fact that this was the very first structure makes it very special. The other thing, of course, was that at the time this was put up, we all were pretty much guessing that it was going to perform and last and have a lifetime, but you didn't really have any actual experience. The thing that this structure brings to this business, to this application, is the fact that it actually has been in place for 20 years, and it looks like it's going to go another 20 years based on our assessment of the way it appears today. So number one, it's the first, and number two, it's actually what we call living proof that this is a viable concept, a viable architectural concept.
Owens Corning is here today because, first and foremost, we wanted to support our customers. Owens Corning really doesn't make the fabric or install these structures, but we make the basic material, the fiberglass yarn. And we wanted to support our customers, Birdair and Chemfab. Owens Corning is excited about any sort of exposure we can have for any application which our fibers go into. This is such a highly visible, unique application. There are so many applications for fiberglass that are not visible under the hood of automotive applications, things that you don't really see. And this is such a unique application that it's really, we felt it was worth talking about.
Well, we thought that there would be no better way to demonstrate to the public and the design community that these structures are in fact durable and are long-lasting. They're not a short-term type of construction material, that they're there to stay, and they are permanent construction. And Verne being the first structure that we did, and it's 20 years old and it's still going strong. And I think, you know, that this is the kind of message that we need to get out. And again, it goes back to the reason why we decided to go with this event, because there is still a stigma, if you will, associated with fabric, or misconception about how long it lasts and how durable it is. And on projects that we build, we have to go through the sales effort and demonstrate the history of the product and the fact that it is a durable product and it's there to last for quite a while. And we believe Verne's going to be up there for quite a number of years to come.
John Effenberger was saying last night and today, if you attempted to put this group of people together today, it would probably be impossible for a couple of reasons. Number one, the companies that are involved are a whole lot bigger than they were back then and probably would not be willing to take the risk. But it seems as if the right mix, characteristics, know-how, whatever it was, this team fell together, and there's no doubt as people were meeting each other yesterday, you could see that these people genuinely liked each other, and it just must have been a spectacular team, you know, going back these guys and take 20 years off their age to see these guys working together. I don't think they're surprised, but I think they're really happy at the fact that this particular structure presents the beginning of literally an industry. Well, Chemfab's here, of course, because we manufacture the fabric, and business is our life, but in talking internally, there's only going to be one first building that turns 20 years of age, and Verne happened to be that building, and to let this particular event go by without notice would have been a terrible waste. The other thing, of course, is to give this whole industry a visibility in a slightly different light. This is not a commercial that talks about fiberglass or Teflon. It's about a building that's 20 years old. Real, it's been here. Come and take a look.
Our experience has shown that this material, while you get some deterioration initially, it sort of levels off and keeps its quality, you know, the thing. So
I think that's
anyway,
really an important thing, that 20 years later now we can look at this material and say, yes, just like steel and concrete, this is a building material. We can plan on using it for permanent construction always.
Yeah.
And it proves that the accelerated weatherometer tests have a valid meaning.
Yeah. If anything, they're more severe than the real world, and that's a good conservative approach.
That's right. That was the condition we found, that they're more severe very often than the real world is in the thing. But
what was your involvement in this?
Well, my involvement, of course, I mean, was starting with the thought that somebody had to insulate this, because the Los Angeles County had certain requisitions, I mean, as far as a Class B or A roof, and insulation was a requirement in order to allow this construction to go on. And I had got together with Walter, I mean, to determine, I mean, just what this kind of structure was going to do, and what I was going to be confronted with. And we were fortunate, I mean, to set up a real good relationship, which has lasted, I mean, now for this 20 years. And I hope another 20, Walter.
We hope so, too.
Simply in trying to design and create a manufacturing process for the material itself. I was at that time at a pond company, and it seemed as though it could be a very good opportunity to sell some Teflon. Now, many years later, I'm with a company that actually has to manufacture the product from fiberglass and Teflon. 20 years later, I am still learning how this material really behaves, but we know at least it is as good as we thought, if not considerably better. Well, California has always had very stringent fire codes, appropriately so. Los Angeles is about as tough as it gets. And this particular material did not register with any of the code officials as anything more than a tent. And one didn't make permanent construction with this kind of material. But I think someone got the idea, I'm not sure entirely who, but because of the unique inertness of the material and its very high temperature capability, they were able to simply put it down on a barbecue grill and cook some steak and feed the fire marshals. And I guess they had to acknowledge that this was a different kind of material after all. There's actually a commercial product that is used with one of the fast food chains who create 58 and 88 billion of hamburgers on this kind of a material.
What could that company be?
I haven't a clue.
It's done a terrific job, and we're all very proud.
Yeah, we're thrilled to see what we're seeing today, I think. See how well the building is being used.
I looked in the mirror this morning thinking about this thing and realized I hadn't done as well in the last 20 years of this building.
No, I won't buy that.
No, I think you've done pretty well. I never feeling went through my head. What am I worried about? I think this thing is pretty well in the last 20 years.
We're around today as we are.
Yeah.
Is there any, does it look a little duller, stained a little bit?
No. This is clean.
They just hose it down. Yeah, but that's all you have to do.
The lowest cost maintenance building on this campus by a lot.
Oh, the president admits that, yeah. It's like, you know, you got these flat roofs and they have to replace them every 10, 15 years. Here, this 20 years, it's just like new, brand new. No maintenance at all.
And we have an additional problem here. Here's the roof. This is the problem I always had with all the things. Here's a roof that not only but it has to be a thing of beauty too, because it's right up there. Most roofs, it doesn't make any difference. You
and I
can't
think
see them anyway.
it also
But you do.
proves, looking at it again today, 20 years later, what John said at the outset, this is simply very flexible space, very inexpensively enclosed. They keep doing different things within the space. They don't keep building new buildings. They just rearrange what they want to do.
Develop their own space for the different functions.
It's really more than a roof too. That's
the
whole damn building.
Yeah, I was talking to a student just now that said that he really liked it because it was different and it creates a different atmosphere when you go in. He said it's kind of like a teepee, tent, it's kind of like fun. So.
Yeah.
One of the students wanted to change the university to tent state. That was his idea. They didn't get that done, of course.
Now, they decided they were going to call it super tents to develop that way.
So the fabric, the patent for the fabric is still held by your company?
No, I don't know if there is any patent for the fabric. You know, the fabric's a combination that was developed as this team, and there are two individuals not here, work together, not the way you would in a formal consortium, but quite separately, but working together, every man for himself. And this fabric that is not patented because it really belonged to a large number. It's been extremely complicated over the years. There have been mergers of companies, and then they've been separated as joint ventures, and more recently, the entire technology has been acquired by a single company, probably the largest fabric structure company in the world, a Japanese company. So in a sense, it has come full circle now. But began in Osaka, Japan, and is now headquartered in Osaka.
So the final product comes out of
No. It's all U.S. manufactured.
You may be getting a misconception.
Yeah.
American company who's been bought out by a smaller company, a larger company.
It's American product.
It's American product and American Birdair structures.
So it comes out of your company?
No.
Free did not exist to do it in commerce. You're onto that.
I keep figuring you're not Dupont anymore.
No.
See, when we started it, he was with Dupont, and he's not with Dupont.
It was so much fun that I joined the company that I had to do this.
You probably think the done on the back of a napkin in a restaurant while we were eating El Gordo specials. Isn't that right, John Shaver? It's true. The second story is that Lee Newcomer and I were sitting in his office one day after this building had been designed, and we were saying, should we really go ahead and build this structure? And Lee thought for a minute, and he looked at me and he said, Steve, why not? Neither one of us will be here in 20 years. So we're delighted that all of you have come from places around the United States to celebrate with us today. Those from Birdair Incorporated, Chemfab Corporation, Dupont, and Owens Corning. All of them made this structure possible, particularly the fabric and the design for the fabric. So we're very appreciative. And I have now to introduce some of the original participants. Probably the most important person here today is Walter Bird, the founder of Birdair Incorporated. And he's really the father of these fabric-covered structures. And we're delighted to have him here from Florida with us today, Walter Bird. And we have the architect from Salina, Kansas, of places, not from Chicago or New York, Los Angeles or San Francisco, but the creativity for this structure came from John Shaver of Salina, Kansas. And Campbell is here today. He's a structural engineer and really is the one who made this sketch on the back of a napkin come into reality and helped it stand the test of time over 20 years. Bob? And when we really got got involved in looking for the fabric to cover the structure, we turned to people Corning and Dupont and Chemical Fabrics, and we ran into Verne, who is here today, and he was with Owens Corning at that time, contracting division. And my note says that apparently he was the one who actually booked this contract, and we appreciate what he contributed. And John Effenberger has an interesting background because he was originally with Dupont when we were building this building, but he got so excited about these kinds of structures that he then went over to become Vice President for Structural Products at the Chemfab Corporation. John Effenberger is with us today. And Malcolm Crowther, Owens Corning Corporation, another person who came to help make this happen. One of our key concerns was that it wasn't that it would be a structure that would serve people and would serve the needs of an educational institution. So we did a lot of interfacing with our faculty, our students, and with designers from all over the country to talk about how we could make a building that would accommodate the needs of people, not just be an edifice to an architect or a contractor. And the person who really helped make that happen for us was a consultant who came in and worked closely with the University of Verne, Max Tadlock, and Max is standing under the tree. And really the person who had the nerve to say yes to this building and to say that he wanted to do something different. And it was really a symbol of what Lee Newcomer wanted to do with higher education. And one who said, we're going to do things differently at Laverne, and this is going to be a symbol of how differently that will be. Newcomer, who I worked for 8 years while he was president, certainly one of my mentors and someone I'm very proud to be associated with, Dr. Lee Newcomer. Well, we had needs at the university at that time when we decided that we'd go with something unique. We needed an art facility, we needed a museum, we needed locker rooms, we needed a student center, we needed a theater. And as we priced out those structures individually, we realized that we were talking about a budget of $10 million, and we had more like $2 million. And that was really the necessity that helped us become more creative here. And that building has served us extremely well.
It's really a special privilege for me to have the opportunity to stand here as the, I guess the beneficiary of the work that's been done by all the people that Steve talked about earlier. The people who made the decision to make the building happen, the architect vision, the engineer who translated it into reality, and the whole team that supported that. As you drive up to this campus, you pull into the site, you think what a lovely little campus in a very nice setting outside of LA, and you see all these very nice Southern California buildings with red tile bricks, and it does not bring the image of a cable restrained tension structure to mind immediately. So anybody who is going to really reach out and be daring enough to do this, I think, really has to get a lot of recognition. So we had 20 years ago a designer with a vision, an engineer who could say yes. We had a contractor who was prepared to build it. We had materials people who were prepared to invent something to go along with that design, and we had an owner who was prepared to shoulder the whole risk out on the very end of that limb to make this happen. So I guess today I'd like to say maybe we can make that story a little bit different. We've got all these people together and we have a chance to really recognize what they did. Steve, it's really a great honor for me to present this plaque to you on behalf of all the players that we've already talked about. So if we could, we'll...
This is a gift to the University of Laverne from the 4 companies that sponsored this event today, and we appreciate it very much. It will be permanently installed by the entrance to the tents and will commemorate this 20th anniversary. I want to thank the 4 companies, and I especially want to thank the original players who made the effort to gather with us to celebrate this event. I want to thank Brian Worley for another outstanding piece of art added to the campus. My thanks to all of you, and a special thanks for this gift today.
Just one last note of recognition. All this took a whole lot of effort to pull together, and sometimes we forget the people who do all the logistical work to make this happen. I'd like to recognize Sue Burkett from Owens Corning Fiberglass, and Rick Milley from Birdair, and all the people from the university that helped to make this happen. Good job.
That's done on the back. Printed.
No, you shouldn't. Oh, this has been great. Well, we're just delighted that all the people could come. You know, to pick a day and all that's left of the and hope that the whole crowd could be here is really special.
Yeah, everyone should.
Yeah.
From so many different parts of the country.
Yeah. Way.
John Schaefer found a couple of good prospects for jobs to do, so we could concentrate on a particular need, and this was one of them here. So this has been great, absolutely, because it was the first structure we built, and it was brand new material, brand new design, everything was new.
And it's done everything you had hoped it would do.
Everything we ever hoped. You know, I personally feel very happy because when I started Birdair, we had to have a prospectus, you know, and so on, and in that you tell what you anticipate you're going to do. And in that I had said that at that time I was doing little things. Nobody was even thinking about things. But because it is such an ideal structure for covering wide, clear span area, you know, I had said that, well, someday I hope we're going to be covering recreation areas and even stadiums. And I wasn't sure at that time that I'd ever have a chance to see one built. And Milligan was supposed to be first, but they got into trouble down in Milligan with compacting the soil, and they had to change the design of the thing. So it dragged and got behind, and this one turned out to be the first one.
Birdair got involved with John Shaver, the architect for the project, the early schematic design phase. John Shaver worked closely with Walter Bird, founder of Birdair, in the development of the structural scheme to support his design for the university. We feel that really being able to say now that we have a complete structure is going to be a big advantage over talking to customers about statistical projections of data that we've taken from a number of previous buildings. So we're really excited to have something to say, it's really here.
You know, I think necessity is the mother of invention, and we had a lot of necessity. We needed a lot of facilities and a wide variety of them, and if we'd have tried to choose any one particular facility, it was more than we could handle. So we decided to put it all together, and Ford Foundation, through the Educational Facilities Laboratory, gave us a grant of $25,000 for the research and planning. That allowed us to get some really good heads and bright, creative people together and figure out how to do it. The whole idea is, we at the time said that we were making 2 + 2 = 6. And in essence, it took the place of a student union, a gymnasium, a theater, an art center, and all in one spot. At that particular time, why private higher education was in pretty deep trouble. All over the place, and it was time to restructure, like public education is today. And I felt that fit right into the whole concept that we did in the curriculum here at the college, where we really centered on the kids. You know, this was the era of the flower children. They were a different bunch of kids, and they had some different needs. So yeah, this was the part of the metamorphosis, or the or the Renaissance, or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Got everybody?
See a lot of lenses.
This is the important lens here.
Okay.
Okay, and we're doing big smiles here, and nice teeth.
Nice teeth? That's my other one.
Is that it?
That's me.
No taking it on.